Chapter 16, Physics of Time. Take time to change the continuum of natural disorder which just occurs to future. To change by nature, function and condition must be changed. In order to transform, change function, function is changed by. Function represent purpose of an action specifically fitted or used or for which something exists. Groups of elements or related actions contributing to a larger action. A mathematical correspondence that assigns exactly one element of one set to each element of the same or another set. A variable as a quality, trait, or measurement that depends on and varies with another. Function relates to performance. Correspondence governs function. The word of is used to represent function. Of indicates the component material, parts or elements or contents. Of, as a function word, indicates a part or point of reckoning, origin, or derivation, as well as a cause, motivator, or reason. The word of is used to indicate a whole or quantity from which a part is removed, deleted, or expanded, inserted, or rearranged, permutated, to indicate relationships, correspondence, between a result determined by a function or operation, process, and a basic entity as an independent variable to indicate characteristics or distinctive possession in time. Other ways of using the word of indicating function: as for, as to, on, upon, concerning, pertaining. Dysfunction is a result of origin, purpose, process, deviating from itself. Another way is to say when you are off track. 1. Inserting. 2. Deleting. 3. Permutation. Integrate, unity, the sense of right and wrong. E equals mc squared. E, energy, potential difference equals m, mass, the whole. C, speed of light. O, with a line through it, energy spent to respond. X times X equals position. To fix in time to any order of accuracy, an absolute rigorous now, present, as a point of time, to be able to indicate points of time, one of which will always be the earlier and the other the later. Just as we fix the present moment now as a geometrical point of time, so we fix and exact here a point in space as the first element of continuous spatial extension, which, like time, is infinitely divisible. Space is not a one-dimensional continuum like time. The principle by which it is continuously extended cannot be reduced to the simple relation of earlier or later. Precisely the same content, identically the same thing, still remaining portion of space, S, then occupied by it, is equal to that portion, S, which it actually occupied. S and S are said to be congruent. To every point, E, element of S, there corresponds one definite corresponding C, point, element. C1 of S, which after the above displacement to a new position would be surrounded by exactly the same part of the given element as that which surrounded C originally. We shall call this transformation, in virtue of which the point C1 corresponds to E, a corresponding transformation. First of all, the straight line, its distinguishing feature is that it is determined by two of its points. Any other line can, even when two of its points are kept fixed, be brought into another position by a corresponding transformation, the test of straightness. Left and right are equivalent. There is one congruent transformation which leaves A fixed, but which interchanges the two halves into A divides the straight line. The chief characteristic of transformation is that all points are of equal importance in it, and that the behavior of a point during transformation does not allow any objective assertion to be made about it, which could not equally well be made of any other point. This means that the points of space for a given translation can only be distinguished by specifying each one singly, that one time, whereas in the case of rotation, for example, the points on the axis are distinguished by the property that they preserve in their positions. Translations, being transformations, possess the group property. There is no translation which transforms A into A except identity, in which every point remains undisturbed, identity-wise. Quantities, which describe how the state of a spatially extended physical system varies from point to point, have not a distinct value but only one for each point. Accordingly, we are dealing with an identity, emotion, knowledge. We speak of an identity, emotion, and knowledge field and elements. The law of continuity governs not only the action of physical things on one another, but also psychophysical interactions. The direction in which we observe objects is determined not by their places of occupation alone, but also by the direction of the ray from them that strikes the retina, that is, by the state of the optical field directly in contact with that elusive body of reality, whose essence it is to have an objective world presented to it in the form of experiences of consciousness. According to the law of attraction, the gravitational force with which one point mass acts on another at a certain moment is a vector in space which is independent of the coordinate system, as is also the vector that connects the simultaneous positions of both point masses with one another. Every force, no matter what its physical origin, must be the same kind of magnitude. This is entailed in the assumptions of Newtonian mechanics, which demands a physics that satisfies this assumption in order to be able to give a content to its conception of force. According to Newtonian mechanics, the center of inertia of every isolated mass system, not subject to external forces, moves in a straight line. In the space-time principle of relativity, space and time are coordinate systems of a world point referred to a definite permanent system in space. When the coordinates of the same point relative to a second such system that may be moving arbitrarily with respect to the first system, they are connected by the transformation formula. It was made clear that two series of physical states or phases cannot be distinguished from one another in an objective manner, if the phase quantities of the one are represented by the same mathematical functions as those that describe the first system. We have discussed space, time, matter, the gravitational electromagnetic fields, some on Einstein, Max Planck, and Newton's theory and laws. As you can clearly see, physics affects not only our perceptions of reality, but also reality itself. It affects our behaviors, our circumstances, even our thoughts. Just as our human bodies are composed of many different systems, each of these systems are actually coordinate systems to one another. Independently, they have their own functions and processes, but dependently, even their contents and contexts are interdependent and interrelated to other systems. All of the known systems and coordinate systems known to man, and more than man just may not yet be aware of, affects our daily lives, our functions, and our systems. The laws of physics and quantum physics has been applied to mankind since its beginnings. Albert Einstein and many other people of science studied these things to better understand mankind and being human.